Welcome to Backstage Interviews from the February Silver Investor Forum. I'm here with Bradford Cooke, CEO of Endeavour Silver. Brad, thanks for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure, Peter.
So Brad, we certainly covered a lot of the background on Endeavour in the actual webinar. Maybe we can touch on a few other topics that are related to silver and to some extent to your company, and you can bring some of your thoughts of that to listeners. We've seen that impressively, actually, silver's held up well despite gold falling in the last sort of week or two. And that's certainly helped the gold-silver ratio, which has fallen in silver's favor. So maybe you can tell us, give us your thoughts a little bit on what you see that's been perhaps pushing that, and where you see that heading.
Yeah, by all means, like you said, silver is holding in very impressively in terms of its price range, whereas gold in recent days has been pulling back to a new trading range. And I think the reason is partly a holdover from the famous silver short squeeze, but more likely the emergence of silver on generalist radar screens as a green metal. And for instance, BlackRock exited a good chunk of the gold ETF last quarter and purchased for the first time ever, I believe, a small position in the silver ETF. And I believe that's their reasoning, is that it's an emerging green metal. Green meaning that it not only powers all electronics, but it's been behind solar power. You can't have solar power without silver. And of course, the emergence of electric vehicles in particular and hybrids. Can't have those without silver either, because silver pastes and silver nanofilms coat virtually every electronic contact. So, and there's about twice as much silver used in an EV as there is in a conventional automobile. So they're obviously pretty significant impact on the silver business going forward. So I think that's a large part of it, is that the appreciation that silver's industrial aspect is just as important as its precious aspect.
Yeah, it certainly is different from gold in that sense, that it's not just a monetary, but also an industrial metal, and certainly looks like a metal whose uses and utility seems to be growing almost every day.
Yeah, and one last comment on silver as precious. It's really more the hotter money, the hedge fund money that goes into the gold ETFs. And we know that because the gold ETF has been a bit of a roller coaster, way up in 2009, 10, 11, way down in 2013 to 17, ticking back up 2019, 20, exiting in the last quarter. And this is relatively hot money. It's traders' money. Whereas the silver ETF is not like that at all. I mean, it was basically rose to 650 million ounces under management in around the 2011 high and stayed there for the entire bear market. And then had another liftoff last year to about 1.05 billion ounces under management by silver ETFs worldwide. And again, now it's flatlined instead of dipping like the gold ETF. So even on the precious side, silver's different.
Yeah, it's what they call sticky money.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning that we can look forward to some financials around March 1st. That's not that far off. We're a couple of weeks away. Are you able to give us a little sort of a peek into what that may look like?
Yeah, well, of course, we came off our best quarter in 2 years in Q4. And so I think given the amount of cash we added to Treasury from operations in Q3, anybody following the company that closely knows that there's going to be a pretty impressive fourth quarter reported on March 1st. So that news is coming. And also, interestingly enough, because of the growth of our market cap, I believe we now qualify, according to our investment bankers, for inclusion in both the full GDX index and the S&P TSX 500 index. No guarantees, of course, and that decision is usually taken in mid-March, and then the index funds purchase their shares in late March. So it could be a double bang for our buck here in March.
Absolutely. And well, we've certainly seen the share price hold up considerably well. Certainly, silver itself has done well, but from my perspective, I've certainly seen Endeavour shares hold up and in fact perform better than most in the sector. And I know that you certainly say that you have, I guess, what you'd call outsized leverage to the silver price, and maybe you can just touch on that a little bit for us.
Yeah, we have, I think, a sector-leading beta or leverage or our share price to the silver price, primarily because we only produce silver and gold and nothing but. And this year's split is about 50-50. So we're at least 50% silver, which is way up there in the silver group. Most of the larger silver companies are significantly below 50% by revenue for their silver production.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have a high beta.
Yeah, so we've certainly touched on some interesting points, and I'm just wondering if there's anything particular you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up.
Well, our fourth quarter production, which is already out in public, really set a high watermark for this year. We've guided, I think, 6.5 million ounces of silver equivalent production this year, but we produced 2.1 million in the fourth quarter last year. So we are hoping that we can once again beat our numbers in 2021.
Excellent. Well, Brad, thanks for that overview, and we certainly look forward to following the progress.